Like, how the heck do I make a decision about how to have a miscarriage? Like, something's been missed and all these things went wrong. And I feel like patients need more help. Like, bleeding stops does not mean that everything is gone.
Welcome to Get Obsessed. I'm Nat Kekal. This season, I'm in conversation with women who built methods, founders who built tools, women who turn lived experience, clinical gaps, and deep questions into new ways of caring for women. Today, I'm in conversation with Jess, the founder of myStoria, a women's health platform built to help patients hold less, to help organize the complexity of their reproductive health, and bridge the gap between what they know about their bodies and the care they deserve. Let's get into this episode. Hi, and welcome back to Get Obsessed. I'm sitting with Jess, the founder of myStoria, an app that helps women through their journey of miscarriage. You have a full healthcare team in place, so you can go get appointments that are involved with the application. Am I saying this correctly?
Not quite. So we are really healthcare system adjacent. And so the goal being help the patient show up to care better. That said, we do have a team of nurses, which we call concierge team, that will help with literally anything and everything. Research the best clinic, help me figure out this. Can you walk through this with me? Can you just talk to me? I'm feeling down. Our team is available for whatever. So there's that human, amazing expert element. We're just not diagnosing, treating. We're trying to help the patient with their care system that they already have in place.
Yeah, which is absolutely so important to a woman in grief. Where did this idea start?
Yeah. I went through a really long fertility journey on my end, and it was such a not a weird start. Weird's not the right word, but for some reason, when I was like 25 years old and just started dating my husband, it had this inclination or this feeling that I may have issues. I was like, I didn't have my period for years as a kid in high school. I don't know how or why. So it was really back in 2015 where I started to dig into, okay, what's going on with me? Am I healthy? Is there anything to think about? Which led into a PCOS diagnosis and then started what I feel like has been my fertility journey since 2015, it being on the top of my mind. And the other thing at that point too for me was the fact that TMI, but my whole life's TMI, and we're here. We never were careful when we would have sex or do whatever on our end. And so I was like, that's weird. Also, we're not trying, but it was one of those things where it's like, all you hear about in sex ed in high school is sex equals pregnancy. And something's wrong. I started to go down the road of naturopathic support, family doctor support, and a whole bunch of other stuff. Ended up in fertility treatments. Thought once I got into the fertility clinic, it would be all good. Basically, one and done, you're good. This is the magic solution to pregnancy, and which couldn't have been more not true. And that full journey, which I'm sure we can dig into a little bit more, led me to, once I walked away from treatment, look back and say, there's so many I wish I would have known moments. I'm so exhausted from the role I've had to play in advocating for myself and trying to coordinate between these doctors and clinics and clinicians and outside support. And something's been missed and all these things went wrong. And I feel like patients need more help. And that was the premise for myStoria, where I talked to a mentor. I emailed her actually, and I was like, Carol, who's now become an investor of myStoria, she's unreal. But I was like, Carol, I'm having a life crisis. I walked away from treatment. I have this identity crisis mixed with what I'm now doing in my career with my previous business. It's amazing, but doesn't light a fire for me anymore. I want to go down this road of solving this problem. What do you think? And a bottle of wine and 3 hours later, which I hadn't drank in so long during fertility treatment. So I was like, the wine was just so awesome to sit with her and have. And she said to me, go for it, Jess. So she was like the push off the ledge, so to speak. So after that, I was like, you know what, I'm all in, sold my previous company, and then put a good portion of that money into getting myStoria started. And this has been my life for a couple years now.
Absolutely incredible. The ending part, what it came from, not the story itself. You touched upon so many things within your story, like from your intuition. I say this to so many women in my life. Our intuition has been crushed from such an early age because the education system is so disconnected from what the actual reality of our cycle is, our pregnancy journeys are. Did you feel as you were moving through the building process, like your intuition was coming back? Was it coming into fruition? Were you able to listen to yourself more easily?
Yeah, in this build phase for myStoria, it really forced me to almost go back to the moments that I had a gut instinct that I didn't know to advocate for myself on or push on or whatever, and listen to those moments, because those were the moments that we were trying to help now, and know that I looked back on my journey, and there's so much of this, and spent time in both the US and health and Canadian healthcare system because I just couldn't get what I needed in Canada. So I ended up going to the US, and it was the same experience there. And I find I forgot I was the customer in so many words. I forgot that this stuff's happening to me. I am the one that gets to make decisions on what I do and don't want, and what my boundaries are, and what I want out of my treatment. There's so many moments there that I felt just thankful to have someone trying to help me. And I am, but I also told them that I think I have endometriosis, and I didn't push harder. So it took 5 years of my fertility journey to get that diagnosis. And I look back on, as you're saying, on this build process, I looked back on the moment where I emailed them and I asked them again, and how do I help the person in that moment now get to where they want to go? And if it's not endometriosis, at least you've listened to your gut instincts and explored what's going on and tried to dig into it the way you want to do your healthcare.
Showing up for yourself, advocacy, self-advocacy is so important in this medical system that we have. And something that you touched upon as well is it's no matter, I guess, if you go to an OBGYN, if you go to a gynecologist, if you're on the fertility journey, it's right away. If you have a miscarriage, if you're not feeling well, if there's something, it's have you sought out fertility? Have you sought out fertility? It's kind of pushed down your throat almost as like the one all be all. And I heard you say, once I got to fertility, I was like, this is it. It's going to happen. It's like they make you really believe that. So you put yourself through a lot, like the IVF world, the IU, like all of it is a lot of medication. It's a lot on a person's body.
Interesting on that. And I know you've talked about on the podcast, and I've talked quite a bit about, there's such a lack of research in women's health, and we weren't involved in clinical trials until quite recently. We also have no idea what all these synthetic hormones are going to do, like what this impact has. And I'm not suggesting there's some major, we just don't know. I have no idea. I took so much estrogen per IVF cycle and embryo transfer cycle, and that estrogen made my endo worse. But what else? We just don't know. We have no idea on that. And there's a lot of impact on it mentally as well.
Oh my God, yes. So in the story that you were saying at the beginning, the mental health impact, like the grief that you had to carry through it, was there any support given throughout the process? Were doctors readily available with community support systems? Was that part of the process?
To be honest with you, like anchoring this, myStoria has been a bit of a emotionally healing journey for me too. And talking to people about their own journeys, like I have zero emotional reserve left. I'd say one thing and I'm like tearing up. But one of the things that I have found after my journey is fertility and like reproductive health specific therapist. Like specifically, I work with Grief Nova, and she is Sarah Young. She's just amazing. Like she gets it. And there's something special about someone that truly has lived what you're experiencing to help you work through stuff. So during the process, I don't know how or why I don't know how I got through it, but I really thought I was fine. Like I was handling it well. Like I know I was down and out a couple times, and I know I was almost coping by making my fertility journey my whole world. Like I made it every aspect of it, from diet to what I would do socially to like my bedtime. Like I tried to control everything that I possibly could. And I think that helped me get through it. But I would not say that the doctors were there from the mental health perspective. That said, and I just didn't really know about it, there's like the Oasis support network out there that is amazing. And I wish I would have known to join. And the other thing, which is like an amazing, beautiful story, is there was one nurse that I particularly loved to talk to. And I'd go into the clinic for monitoring, and she would give me the time of day to ask her questions and just like almost express my worry. And that's Carly, who ended up like joining myStoria and being our head of nursing. And I love, like, it's just a beautiful story for me that like the nurse that I so relied on is like saw the gap and wanted to do something about it. But the place and I know we're chatting about miscarriage, but the place that I realized I was really struggling with grief was when I lost our IVF pregnancy. And that was like the whole process there. Like my husband even said to me, like, you're not okay. Like, I've never seen you like this. And I felt so lonely in that moment because all you hear is how common miscarriages are. And, oh, it was early. So thank God it was just early for you. And in my head, I'm like, I have worked so hard to get here. Like, I wanted this so bad. Telling me it's early only makes me feel like it wasn't even real or something to even grieve about or something to say, I'm sorry you're going through that or whatever. And it took me, I want to say like a full year and even some relationships lost where I just couldn't be around certain people or things or whatever to try to my best to just feel semi-normal again. And again, looking back, I totally went into like solution mode and almost didn't even take care of myself in terms of the grief. So I know we can unpack this a little bit further, but that was it changed me altogether.
I can relate so deeply to this. And I think that unless you've been through multiple miscarriages or even one miscarriage, like you can't relate on that level. It is something that really there's something that happens. You have this living thing, this embryo it's connecting with your nervous system, right? And when it goes, like your nervous system feels slightly like a little bit empty and you're like, what's happening? How come I don't feel complete? And it takes away from you 100%. I absolutely connect with that. And I don't think people really do understand, like you said it at the beginning, you gave up alcohol. I'm sure you gave up a lot in life just to make sure that you were the perfect candidate for the conception and carrying the baby. Like how many rules and control do you have to go through during those years? And I don't think people really fully get it. People don't fully understand it. Also taking the medications, the injections every day, feeling what that does to your body as well. And yeah, I think it's just something that many of us, and, it's a huge population of women go through, and we're not talking about it enough. We're not sharing enough. And I think that it's incredible that you've taken this grief and said, okay, let me create something that is going to help women connect and know that so many more are going through this, and not just in a stat, like you said, like 1 in 4. Yeah, that's a huge number. So we shouldn't just be statting them off. We should be talking to women and really helping them through this grief, this process.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. I feel so strongly that every person's journey is their own, but then the notion that it felt in with my miscarriages, if it wasn't a heartbeat on an ultrasound that someone had visibly seen and we shared an excitement, the process didn't even exist. It wasn't anything for anyone to really acknowledge your grief on. And that for me, and I know we kind of touched on it earlier, that for me felt like the hardest because, like you just said, it was real for me and my husband. I felt like we were living over this dark cloud that we couldn't see the sunlight for years, no matter where we went. And there was like that positive pregnancy test and those betas that were increasing correctly. And all the things were going properly that we look at all the stats. I'm less than 5% likelihood now to lose this pregnancy. The light is coming. And then all of a sudden it's all taken away. And it was just these extreme emotions matched with, my mom, my sister, my best friend, my dad, like all were amazing. But it was just that the 1 degree away from that just felt, I can't even describe the right word for it. It just felt invisible. I guess invisible. Your grief is invisible.
My body is shivering, and I haven't spoken about this on the podcast. My first miscarriage was at 11 weeks, and I had been diagnosed with early menopause for 8 years. And so getting pregnant was not even a forethought in my mind. I had grieved that process a long time ago, but then my ovulation came back and I was able to get pregnant. And so having a pregnant, even just seeing the P test come out positive, I was like, oh my God, my whole body shook with happiness and joy. And I remember my husband, and we got so excited, and I bought a journal and I started journaling to the baby every day. I was so excited to meet her. And at 11 weeks, we miscarried. And I hadn't gotten an ultrasound yet. I hadn't seen the doctor because our appointment was in a few days. Because for the first pregnancy, you don't see the doctor up until 10 to 12 weeks.
Yes.
My whole life shattered. My
Yeah.
whole world shattered. I didn't want to believe it. My husband, as much as he's the most supportive, he's my rock, but I was like, you don't understand what's happening. You can't understand what's happening to me. And I know you're going through it and I want to be there, but I cannot. I remember repainting my house, my entire house in 3 days, because after getting the diagnosis, I couldn't sit still. I was like, I don't even know what to do with myself. I have this ridiculous energy that every time I sit, I just viscerally cry. And I don't know how to explain that to anyone.
100. I totally, feels like a fire hydrant of emotion that it was like all the happiness turned into absolute crushing sadness right away. And it needed to come. I feel the same as you. I couldn't sit still, yet I could not go anywhere because I couldn't keep myself together. I just needed a space to just let it out. 100%.
100%. And like you said, my family, my friends, my husband, everyone was amazing, but it was just like I had to process it on my own. I couldn't have someone that didn't understand what I was going through process it with me.
Yeah.
Let's speak about your app. Let's speak more about your app and how this is going to help so many women. So it's if you've passed a certain amount of funding, you're in your second round. Mm-hmm. So what does this mean? You're in prototype 2.
Yeah. So our initial kind of build was really in the enterprise, not in where all the AI things and tools and all the things can go. And so we were trying to build from scratch what then Google and Claude and all this stuff came out and was able to do so quickly. And we've also been constantly co-designing with our patients, like people going through this, not just myself, a former patient, but constantly with everyone together, patients understanding what do you need and how do you need it and what would help. So we just launched kind of a version 2, an evolved version that's more of mobile. It's more focused on the mobile experience. The whole premise behind this is it is a chat first experience where you're able to talk to a specialized AI assistant, like we call Luna if you're in your fertility journey, but there's also Stella for just women's health in general, that layers on a deep level of expertise in the latest research and things that are going on in the fertility or reproductive health world that matches that conversation with your health information. So if you want to go because I'm a full believer on you having your health information in your own hands and being able to make sense of that information for yourself. So our nursing team will go get your medical records if you want. If you've got them, you can upload them and they instantly organize in your profile and are now in the memory of your app. Also on your non-clinical information that I think is so important in women's health, information about the stress that you're going through daily. Like you're able to just talk to Luna or Stella and tell them what's going on, or your diet, your sleep, or whatever else it is. And if I use an Oura ring, I just screenshot my sleep and I upload it to myStoria and it connects everything together. Or I enable Apple Health Kit to pull information in. The big thing for us is that this is a safe environment where your data is your own. You can download it anytime. You can share it with a doctor anytime. You can delete everything and forget me forever anytime. The whole premise is that you can talk to your health information anytime. Your health information, we can, if you enable it, have the tool connect dots on certain things and ask you questions and prompt thought on different things that are going on with you. For me right now, I'm dealing with some form of histamine, something or other that I'm trying to optimize my health and my endo. And it's trying to connect dots for me on what's going on. And then the beauty of this, which is the Carly world and our nursing team and our concierge team, is that at any point in time, if you just want to pull a nurse in and say, can you help me with this? Or can I talk to you or whatever, they're a chat away or a video call away or everything within the app. And then we have an amazing community, like where you can connect with situation patients and share thoughts and tips and tricks and big sister, little sister, lessons learned. So yeah, so just really a whole premise. But our number one goal for people is help you get through a complex care journey. And that journey is really, could be miscarriage, could be your fertility journey, you're just reproductive health, managing chronic illness. It really is that. And that depth of expertise in women's health is what we are really focused in on.
I love it. I think it's absolutely incredible what you're building. And I think even just having medical records all in one place is so important.
It is. I'm 100% just to be able to go get a second opinion so easily and understand what your medical records are even saying about you, because it also impacts insurance and all these other things in your life that you don't necessarily even think about or realize until something goes wrong or you're in the hospital and something happens. So I'm such a huge believer on you are the one single source of truth of what's going on with you, your health, your situation. All of you should be in your hands, and connecting the dots across both your lifestyle and your life, as well as what's happening clinically.
Absolutely. Especially from any diagnosis, if you have endo PCOS, all of the inflammatory diseases of the reproductive system, and then into your fertility journey, you're seeing so many doctors and you're forgetting information. You're retelling your story without certain details. And you're like, no, I need it. Or even just, I don't feel good with this doctor and I want to go to another one, but you're too afraid to ask for your medical records, or they're not giving them to you for some reason. It's just nice to be like, no, I'm the advocate of my care. I'm the primary caregiver. I'm going to take care of what I need. Yeah, I didn't know you could ask for your records up until 2 years ago. And I was like, what? What if you mean that I can just take them into my own hands? This is amazing. So
I know I honestly didn't realize either until I was on my own journey. And I was like, oh, I was trying to switch from one clinic to a US clinic. And I was like, oh, I can actually ask for my medical records myself to go take to the US clinic, because they don't talk to each other in terms of their systems. But yeah, I think it's that the role outside of just reproductive health and women's health and everything there in general, the role we're expected to play as patients in the healthcare system is so fundamentally important. We have to show up. We are dealing, in most cases, if anything is anything more than a simple problem solution fix, you're dealing with multiple healthcare systems or doctors or care teams. And most people now are also looking at more holistic approaches that are integrated into their care as well. And all of those things, the only person that's coordinating between all of that and doing the work is you. And I always thought about that. I'm like, man, if I was renovating my house, for example, it'd be crazy to try to be the general contractor of organizing the plumber and making sure the plumber knows what the electrician is doing, that knows what the foundation, whatever is doing. Like, I don't even know. And that was the part of the kind of core premise of myStoria is, at the end of the day, help you do that job without it feeling like it's so exhausting, and without any tools, give you the tools, give you the support, give you the people that will take work off your plate too.
that is, first of all, that is such an incredible analogy. Because this is one of the biggest gaps in our healthcare system, is that no doctors, like the healthcare systems, don't speak to each other. So you're not getting the full story, you're not getting the full scope, and details are being lost. And that could be the most important detail at this person's care. So yeah, I love that analogy. Imagine trying to build a house and the general contractor doesn't have any information and he's just going off what he thinks. That would be crazy.
Yeah, it is. And even just the fact that it's not a matter of the doctors, the evil doctors. That's not at all what we're saying. The doctor wants the patient to lean in and support and help them and communicate clearly in a way that the doctor's like how the doctor's listening for information. It's just like we're not set up to even know what and how to do that and how to play the role of, and we're the ones that have the most to lose at the end of the day as well. I always found that interesting. And then you mix that in with a for-profit industry like the fertility industry. And in my case, it was like, I'm writing a $30,000 check. I need to figure out what I'm doing here too. So yeah, we're totally on the same page. I feel very strongly about this.
They absolutely agree. I think it's wild that we're not taught how to move through the system to be better patients so that our doctors can take better care of us. 100%. Yeah, I'm not on the doctors are evil train. I love my doctors. I think they're incredible at what they do. And how can we help them to get more information? And how can we also make sure that there's aides, companions, things to help us move through when we're not seeing our doctors? How many women do you have on your app currently?
Yeah, so the current one launched 2.5 weeks ago, and I think we've got almost 1,000 people on it using it, playing around with it, and that's been amazing. And we've got some incredible partners as well from our original platform that we've brought over. We partner, which I just love. Laurier University, their Grad Students Association, has been such an early believer of myStoria, and their student board and their team is just amazing. We identified early as well. We talked about a lot about early. We briefly talked about sex ed and how we don't get what we were taught. But the other component that I'm going on a little bit of a tangent, if that's all right. This is again how we brain works. I'm like, oh, let's talk about that. One of the things that we realized as we were building out myStoria was initially we were so focused on the people that were me in situations with failure in fertility treatments, really struggling, trying to navigate. And we are helping those people like 100%. We are still focused on helping that. But one thing we realized is what if we could help the people that were at the family doctor, that the family doctor didn't have the expertise, that sends you to the OB or the naturopath, and all of a sudden you're in this in between after family doctor, but before fertility treatments. And that is really a reproductive health, women's health conversation and providing support there. And so there's been amazing customers like Laurier that have totally embraced and seen, yeah, we need this support. And that's been really cool to co-design with using it.
Yeah, that is really cool. I love that. How did you approach them?
I went to Laurier, and so I've plug for Laurier, but I'll have to tell them to listen to because I love them. But they've just been they lean into like post grad career that all other students have. So Laurier has been a big supporter for me, the business school, in terms of my entrepreneurial career. And I had reached out to, her name's Kate, but she's one of the head of communications at the school. And I was like, Kate, does anyone at Laurier have any interest in piloting myStoria? Like, I'd love to see how people are using it in co-design. And she put me in touch with the Grad Students Association, and Ellen and her team and the student board is like the most, like, just so much light in life and awesomeness. So it was like just a natural, they were like, yeah, we've got people that have been through fertility treatment. Some of our grads right now are going through it. Like, we think this is so important. So it was a very kind of serendipitous.
Yeah, and validating, like such validation to what you're creating, to see that so many people need this. What for the women that are on it, and you're designing patient care with them, how does that work? Do they fill out surveys, or is it just kind of you're grabbing the data and you're co-designing?
Yeah, a little bit of both. So the grabbing the data is more obviously super anonymized. We notice that people are using the chat a lot and that type of stuff. So that's not useful. That's very useful in understanding product, but it's more about, we put our hand up as we were building out this V2 and saying, we're looking for people to talk to us, help us, tell us what you need. So we did quite a bit of conversation related interviewing with people to that kind of co-design approach. The second thing, we do send out interviews or surveys, like some people like that approach. And then the other thing that we're building into the platform is the ability for them to give feedback in the app through the chat to what we call Stella, Luna, Max, or Mia. That's, hey, can you help me do this? So I had a friend of mine who's on the platform, and she was like, Jess, I'd really love if I could, it seems simple, but copy paste from the chat and be able to do X, Y, and Z. And then the next week we had it built and out for her. And so that's really part of the approach, is building as a community, getting that feedback from people and helping solve problems in the moment too.
I love that. That's amazing. I also love that the chatbots have female names. So it feels like you're talking to a friend or a female. I really love it.
So Max is focused on men's health and men's fertility and reproductive health. And my husband was talking to Max too. And he's, all right, I can get down with Max. Max is this feels right. And it does adapt also to how you want to talk to it. So we do have a setting, which I think is super cool, because I've even done this for my mom and some health stuff we're going through with my mom, but you can customize your own assistant. So for example, you can tell it, I really like when you talk, like when the conversation goes like this, or can we focus in on this, and name it yourself. And there's actually been quite a few people that have made their own custom, like not Stella, Luna, Mia, Max. It's just their own custom assistant. So I have Greta, who is from my mom's journey, and we're working on that. And I don't know why I think it's like this cool, fun way of engaging in a healthcare journey. I don't know.
Yeah. Creating a friend, creating a friend that you need to be able to talk to you exactly how you need it. It's
Perfect. Actually amazing. I also got to low key. I'm an old movie, old soul, love the older names, Eleanor, Greta, all of that stuff. So I was like pumped up that on my mom's stuff, because Luna's perfect for me on my journey. But Greta was like, my sister's Greta. I was like, yeah, I don't know. I love that name. So anyway, it was just a fun way of making something more fun than otherwise sometimes it is.
Yeah, finding the joy in creating an app for grief, essentially. There's lots of different components to it, but mostly for women struggling in the fertility world. How do you go by privatizing all of the women's information?
Yeah, so security and that whole compliance, that protection of people and their information has been top of mind from us from before I even started my story. And so many reasons why, but the number one is your data is in your hands and it's yours to do what you want to do with it. And I'd watched conversations around other apps and platforms out there that are using your health data for other stuff. And it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good that my miscarriage health records and information are used in a different way. So that was top of mind. So we have gone to a lot of different lengths to make sure there's layers and layers of different types of protection for customers, including the fact that we've got really good encryption standards. We've got everything segregated. So your information's in your world. None of your data is training any sort of AI model. Everything for us is over top of the expertise is there. It's not based on your data. Eventually we will try to get into and want to get into understanding patterns across a large number of women in the app. But the first thing we're ever going to do is say, do you want to opt in to doing this together? And here's what it looks like. And here's the layman terms of what we're talking about. Because this is for us, by us, for us. That's so critical for me.
Thank you for sharing that. I want to go back to Max just for a moment.
Yeah.
A lot of women don't know this about their fertility journey, is that the man is equally as important. And it's really important to look at a lot of things that might be happening with his sperm because our medical system, I don't know how it happened that they've just pushed the numbers of sperm to a lower quantity over the past 100 years. So it looks like everything's normal, but it's absolutely not. So I think that's incredible that you have that. How does it interact with the man? Is it simply for the fertility journey or is it for the grief as well?
No, the beauty of kind of what we've built is it is for the whole person. And so part of it is based on, again, my part of my journey, hearing from other people, learning from other people and their reproductive health fertility journeys is, and you've said it actually earlier with your miscarriage experiences, my husband often just didn't know how to help me. And no matter what, I was the one doing most of the work on this journey. And there's that. But the second of all is if I was struggling, the focus was on me in the fertility journey. As in my mom and dad knew how to show up for me. But I really found that Peter sometimes almost got not left in the wind. It's not his family didn't love him or show up, or I'm not suggesting that at all. It's just, it's almost like he forgets how to process his own grief and his own feelings, and that he forgets how to, or doesn't know how to reach out for support the way that maybe I was a bit more able to. And so part of Max is about that, of working through both how to help your partner, but how to work through your own emotions. Mm-hmm. The second thing, though, there is on a lot of guys that we've talked to have said, you'll go for dinner with your girlfriends, Jess, and it feels more normal to have a conversation around, oh, I have low AMH, or I've got PCOS, I've got endo. But as my husband says, in the locker room, his beer league hockey games or his golf game, I'm not going to be like, yeah, so whatever's going on with me, my sperm count's low, my this is going on, we're struggling with fertility. It feels like such a harder, less receptive conversation. So there's an element there of digging into the questions. How many people have dealt with this? What is this normal or not normal? And having Max be a safe place that they can understand, ask questions. And the same thing again with our nursing team, of a safe place to have a conversation about unfiltered, unjudged, unbiased, and whatever conversation around what's going on with you on this journey too. And like you said, first of all, sperm health has drastically decreased, as you just said. But second of all, in most cases, sperm health or the male factor infertility is like 50% of all infertility cases, and has lot to do with miscarriage rates as well. The sperm is so critical in those early stages. And so helping people both understand that on the partners together, I think is really, really important too.
Mm-hmm. I think it's such an incredible asset of the app that you're creating. It's true. I said it before. My husband was my rock. And I think like when I started to slowly come out is when I saw him drop. And it was like he was holding that he couldn't hold anymore. And at some points I was like, maybe you should speak to someone. How are you dealing with it? But there was, where do you go and what do you do? And so it's so nice that on your app you have something, you have a character or a companion to help someone on their grieving process. And yes, it's wild to me that women are going through this journey. They're taking the injections, they're going in every day, they're doing all these things for IVF, or even just, right, they're testing are you ovulating, are you not ovulating? But we haven't been taught about our cervical mucus, our BBT. So we're trusting these handy supporters. And we're doing all of this, and no one's talking to us about our partner. And then when the doctor finally tells us, it's an appointment when we're by ourselves. So we have to go tell them, which is like an added weight to the entire journey. Because who wants to tell a partner, hey, like maybe it's your sperm, because I don't think they might not take it very well, and it's added stress to you.
100%, 100%.
Yeah. So I think it's monumental to have a chat, like a chat companion, Max, or whatever the person will name them, to be with the man through the journey.
Yeah.
That's it.
Honestly, I think it's, as much as we're talking about and needing to focus in on women's health, because it's so underserved, as we know so well, in that fertility journey, the men's health component of it really does need to be amplified. There's so many things Peter and I didn't know. We knew not to smoke, not to vape, not to whatever, like all the things to be healthier and how they impact on sperm. But we didn't know, after 5 IUIs and a bunch of timed intercourse cycles, that we could have gotten a $50 DNA fragmentation test from day one to understand if that was a factor in everything. And so there's certain things too that I spent so much time trying to figure out what was going on with me, that we almost just completely, I didn't even focus in on, or we didn't focus in on him as well in his role.
Yeah. And I think you touched on something so important. It's like, sometimes even in my journey, I think about, oh, what if I knew what I knew then, but I only know it now? Even blood sugar, like you were talking, okay, don't smoke, don't drink, don't do this. But what about our blood sugar? What about when we're exercising, how we're exercising? What's that doing to our hormones? And of course, you can't be 100% perfect, but just having the information to be able to be like, okay, I'm going on this journey. I'm going on a camping trip. What do I need to bring with me? And what do I need to learn about the area so that I can have the best time and feel safe? It's like, to me,
100%.
it just doesn't make sense how very little we are prepared for this journey.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There are so many things like those I wish I would have known moments. And we have them embedded in the myStoria app, but I hope as we grow, there's this big sister, little sister wisdom that keeps building and building. And there's things that, as I was going through my journey, that I talked to friends that were earlier on, I'm like, listen, here's the things that I wish I would have asked from the start. So if I was you, I would, whatever they would ask me, then I would give my advice. But I think there's those moments of, hey, did you know that you can get a sperm fragmentation test done right away? And that will give you this information. It's up to you, because it's your journey, your way of wanting to go through it, if you want to do it or not. But it's just nice to know. I know that's an option. Whether I go down that road or not is entirely my call.
Yeah, I think you said the big sister, little sister is so beautiful, because I just posted this on my Instagram. It's learning about miscarriage or learning about your pregnancy. It's through my phone calls. It's through my 2 a.m. scrolls. It's through so many different avenues, except for the 15-minute appointments that I have with my doctor. And like, how do we get that information into one area so that we can access it whenever we need and not have to go on to 14 different Google searches or Claude, ChatGPT, and just spiral and cycle without a human behind it.
Yeah. And that's the piece of it too. My miscarriage too. And please tell me if this is triggering, if you want to just pause this conversation. But I didn't know how to have a miscarriage, as there somehow in how I went through the process. I was given, one doctor was telling me take misoprostol or try to pass the pregnancy naturally. And the other was like, don't do that because you can get an infection and then you'll never be able to carry kids, have a D&C right away. And I'm sitting there like, how the heck do I make a decision about how to have a miscarriage? My New York doctor was saying something different than my Waterloo, Toronto doctor. And it was up to me to basically choose the right call. And I remember, you know how they say to you, okay, if you're bleeding X amount, go to the emergency room. Somehow in my head, which I was exceeding that by 3x, I was like, nah, it's fine. I don't want to be dramatic. It's fine. No problem. This will be fine. And 3 weeks later, all of a sudden, I started to hemorrhage after I thought I'd finished having the miscarriage and going through the process. And I'm like passing out on the bathroom floor and I lost 60% of my blood. And somehow in that, and I was still debating whether or not I was going to go to the emergency room. It just, to me, I've heard so many stories of people that went through that process in that journey like I did on this. And it just blows my mind how little we even know about how to ask how to have a miscarriage. It blows my mind that we're so lost on, we don't know, there's no information, there's no go-to. Is something good or bad? I know they say the generic rule of thumb is this, but am I dramatic if I go earlier? Is this something? I don't know. Just like that, even that negative self-talk there of am I dramatic is just, I don't know. That whole process for me was so pivotal because I lost the D&C plus how the miscarriage just played out effectively ruined my uterine lining. So now I can't carry a pregnancy. And I look back on that and I'm like, I tried so hard for so many things to know how to do things the correct way. And I just didn't know. I just didn't know how to do that. So that's been a really pivotal thing for me to help people through that process as well.
I'm so sorry. That's a lot. That's especially when you want something so badly and having so much information spoken at you and having to decipher what you need, especially within the week that it's happening, is a lot on one. Yeah. And I'm so sorry that you had to go through that and that ultimately it ruined your chances of carrying, of being able to carry. So I'm really sorry.
Thanks, Natalie. And I'm cognizant of the fact that you're going through this process as well. And it's so...
I'm going to be crying. It's okay.
Okay. I feel like I pulled the bus to zero emotional reserve on it. It's just such a topic that we all just need to give each other virtual hugs and say, whatever the journey is that you're going through, we're here and I'm sorry and thinking of you.
Yeah, I'll share. So I've had 3 miscarriages. And the first one, I was bleeding every hour on the hour. And I didn't know what to do. But I was like, I remember reading that if you're bleeding, like you should go to the doctor. And so I went to the ER and I waited for 6 hours. I was in insane amount of pain. It was like I was laboring a baby. That's how much pain I was in. And my husband's just staring at me. We're waiting in the waiting room for 6 hours. And he was like, should we stay? I'm like, I don't know. I feel like it's very important that I do. And we get to the triage and they're like, listen, we have 6 ambulances that have come in. We don't have a gyno on call. We don't have an OBGYN on call. We don't have an ultrasound specialist on call. We can't do anything for you. Here's a Tylenol, go home. And I was like, what? I just waited for so long, went home and labored my miscarriage for 11 hours. And went to go see my gyno, my OBGYN a few days later. Didn't know that I had to. It was an appointment that I had because I miscarried right before my appointment. And he was like, okay, cool. You're all good. Everything's fine. You have nothing left. So you're good to go. In my second one, I just bled. So I was like, okay, we're good. We don't have to go to the OBGYN. And I was like, and I remember calling my friend, she's like, you absolutely have to go to your OBGYN to make sure that everything is okay. And I was like, oh, when do we learn about that? My OBGYN didn't say anything to me. I called and I said, I'm bleeding, I miscarried. And they were like, okay. By the third, I was like, okay, here I am. Like, I need to go to my OBGYN. I need to do this. I need to do this. The third one was I had to decide what pills to take if I wanted a DNC. They said it was ectopic. It wasn't ectopic. It was like, I went to go see it. At that point, I had so much research under my belt. And I went home with the leaflet for my injection to read about the medicine. And I was like, you know what? Before I get this injection, I'm going to go see a radiologist because an OBGYN only has 5 days of ultrasound training and a radiologist has 5 years. So I'm going to go get a second opinion about this. But not out of normal education because I've spent 8 years in this field, really learning, researching and doing. So it's really fucked. It's sorry.
It is. No, it is fucked.
It's
100%.
Yeah, sorry, that was full tangent. Just to say, I get it. It's so fucked up. The whole thing is crazy.
It is. And that's the piece of it. Unless, to your exact point, it's not normal knowledge to know, to ask, or to know to go to a radiologist instead of the OB. And again, it's not about the OB not wanting to do their job. It is literally a specialization that is going to get me more certain about what the situation is. And I actually felt that I wish I would have known about my endometriosis, my laparoscopy with excision, to go to a specialist that does laparoscopies with excision and not just the general OB, because that person does so many of them on a daily or weekly basis versus the OB that has so many other things that they have to do going on and doesn't have that expertise. And it's just one of those things that's I wish I would have known, but now I know, and now the next time I know to ask. But how do we share that wisdom and that big sister, little sister with the ones that don't have to learn the hard way, so to speak, or whatnot too. The miscarriage process, honestly, Natalie, is so mind blown that no one told me of retained products of conception until I'm literally hemorrhaging on the floor. Like, how did I not know that passing a miscarriage was not something that I actually had to make sure that it fully passed? Bleeding stops does not mean that everything is gone.
Yeah.
Again, that process was, yeah, like you're saying, just wild. And it blows my mind that you got to the ER and they basically said, nothing we can do.
Yeah.
Go somewhere else. Yeah.
That's when I saw the gap. I was like, what do you mean there's no care? What do I go? I just go home. And yeah, I think it's insane also that I think I learned this from my pharmacist, is that once you take the pills, the
Misoprostol, I think it is. Yeah.
The two-step process, that you have to go see your OBGYN 7 to 14 days later. My OBGYN didn't tell me that. It was my pharmacist that told me that. And I was like, what's going on here? Why are we so disconnected?
Oh, yeah.
Anyway.
100. Oh my gosh, we could totally go. I was about to launch into the expectation of tolerating pain in this whole process is also wild as well. There's just so many things there that I think are just, this is why you exist with your podcast, to get this stuff out there. And I think it's so important. And the world of women's health, Canada, and all the things happening, I think are so critical, because it's not on any single profession, person, whatever. We all have to come together to make change on this. So I thank you for what you do with the podcast.
Thanks for coming on it. I absolutely think that we could talk for hours. We could probably open up the online and really get into it.
100%. Yeah, 100%.
But before we close, I'd love to ask 2 questions. One, what features can we look forward to maybe in V2.5, like maybe sneak peek of what's to come? And then like, where can we sign up? How can we download the app? Where do we go?
Yes. Okay. So many different features coming out. It's incredible how fast and motivated and the team is moving. So there's a number of different kind of things. Right now, there's going to be more expertise on more of the reproductive health stuff that we're continuing to pile in and keep up to date with everything going on in the world, as well as even more and easier ways to get your health information in. And so there's a lot going on in that. But the second piece of it in terms of signing up for the app is if you go to myStoria.com or the App Store and look for myStoria, it is there. It will send you, I don't know the code offhand, but I'll send you a code because we've got the free version. There's a free app that everyone can use. And then we've got 2 tiers that is basically just more and more access to the nursing team, the human nursing team. So I'll send you codes for your audience and you for that, because I think I just got on there, give us feedback. If there's something you wish you want, we'll build it for you. This is really a let's build this for us together kind of movement.
I love it. It's a women's movement. It's a collective.
Yeah, it totally is. And we even have a women's wellness, fertility, reproductive health collective of all these different amazing company and people coming together. So separately, Natalie, I'd love to talk to you about that too, because I think it's this coming together movement that is so critical and helping each other to, I send you information about that too.
Yes, please do.
Yes.
Thank you so much for coming on and just talking candidly and also openly about your story, about what got it started, and
all the little tidbits in between, but also about creating this absolutely incredible product for women on their journeys. So thank you. And men on their journey. Thank you. Thank you.
Totally. Oh, and like I said, thank you for having me. This has been such a pleasure, and we could totally talk for many more hours on all of this stuff. So thank you so much, Natalie.
Thank you.
That was Jess Chalk, founder of myStoria. You can find her work in the show notes. Go and look. We also have a special gift for our listeners today. If something in this episode stayed with you, I'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment, send me a message, tell me what landed. I'm Natalie Keka. This is Get Obsessed.